Okay, so another night of coding ahead of us. And really quick before I start off, if I sound hyper, I apologize. I've downed quite a few energy drinks today, coffee, a little bit of everything. I know I say I don't normally drink coffee anymore, but trying to adjust sleep schedules and energy drinks seem to be the solution at the moment. Additionally to this, I want to run some stuff by you guys. We are planning a game concept. Now, this isn't something we're going to be working on anytime soon. But me, Shadow, and Grogger came up with a concept for a game which is going to be called, I believe, Quantum Inevitability. It's going to be a shooter-esque style game that focuses on the idea of quantum physics for abilities and things. Right now, we don't have a lot of abilities listed. We do have more abilities than this planned out, but we just haven't written them all down. We did this in like 20 minutes. I might upload the video of us talking later, I'm not quite sure. Those videos that we talk about game stuff seem to diverge into other topics rapidly, and very little actually gets covered. But we do know we're going to make this game probably here, maybe 3 or 4 years down the road, after we get our first couple games out the door. So as I said, it's going to be shooter based. It's going to involve quantum physics. There's going to be things like bullet splitting. So you have where you fire a bullet and it will split into multiple bullets. So this will be an upgradable ability. So it'll start off with 2, and then you can go with more than that. You have a quantum bullet, which is like a randomization. It's based off the idea that when you observe an event, you change its outcome. This is kind of how that works. It lets the bullet do weird things like bounce around corners, phase through walls, stuff like that. You'll have short distance teleportation. This involves not only your character, but enemy characters, so you can teleport them randomly, you can teleport yourself, you can teleport objects. It'll be tied into the campaign as much as possible. You'll be able to split into shadow clones. Now your shadow clones will have basically your same abilities. They'll last for a certain period of time and they'll re-emerge. If your shadow clone does take damage, you do take damage though, so it's kind of a little bit of a hit or miss depending on how you want to use it. The ideal for this is if you want to overpower a strong enemy or something. There will be minor time travel. Now this won't be a huge focus. This will probably just be integrated into very specific spots in the campaign. We don't want to spend a huge amount of time on this because we do want to make a couple time travel games down the road, and we don't want this to be too time travel. This will be short-term time travel where you can just kind of phase back a little bit. And the time travel thing does end up coming into the save points. Like say your save points are going to be using the idea of quantum entanglement. You're going to entangle your physical being to a certain point in time. That way when you die or you just want to reload or something, you go back to a certain point in time. Your character remembers everything. You save certain parts of your character. So if you get a certain amount of XP, you level up, you gain an ability, you get some items, you'll maintain those. You will lose some ammo, you will lose some HP, you may lose some XP and some other things depending on how we want to control the entanglement point. This game might be open world, we're still not quite sure exactly what we're going to do with it. We kind of want to get like a Saints Row style open world, but at the same time we kind of want to make the game linear. Even though we do have the idea of quantum entanglement, we should be doing a lot of side paths with it. This is meant to be just a kind of a really quick joke game. It's kind of themed after Half-Life, and this will be noted down in the backstories that I got the idea of the character from Gordon Freeman YouTube videos, where you watch a guy go play through Half-Life, and he voice acts what Gordon Freeman is thinking through his head. We got the whole thing. It's quite a bit's going to have to be worked on this, but I wanted to see your guys' reaction to it so you can put your reply down in the comments of what you think about it. Anyways, we're going to be working on more GUI stuff. Last video we improved the GUI. I kind of want to hit it up some more. I want to get it running better. So what we're going to do is we're going to have an open GUI call. And this is going to pass in the player and the current GUI. And what we're going to do by default is we're going to go, okay, if current GUI equals null, then what we want to do is just go player .open GUI, and we don't have a mod for this. We need a couple more things here. There actually is some interfaces we need to start implementing, and I haven't got around to it, but I just need to start doing this. This is things like tracking what mod content belongs to. So we're going to make an interface called iTile. Yeah, we'll call it iTile. I didn't want to do that, but whatever. The system decides it wants to do that. So this will be put into the API. Apparently I broke a lot of stuff. Why is everything broken all of a sudden? There's nothing wrong with this class, but you notice how it says it's aired out and you come in here and there's nothing there? Man, IntelliJ's been derpy lately. This is probably because that GUI class is all messed up. So we want to come in down here, we just want to make an interface called iTile. And what this will essentially do is it'll just go, okay, it'll say that your tile must have certain things. This would be action interface. And we want to get another interface here. So we want to make another interface called iModObject. And this will insist you have a string, unique content ID, string, content type, and then we'll do string mod ID. That's how we'll do this. And this will define as your unique ID will be a unique string-based ID that is, well, how to word this? So unique string-based ID that is only used by this object in its content group. So be tile, entity, block, item, gun, ammo. So this will be just kind of how we use this. And this will be applied to like pretty much everything. And this will be the mod. So this will be the mod's registered ID / domain. So your ID and your domain should be identical to each other, just as a tip. And this will be applied to this thing. So we'll go iModObject. So that way we have a consistency between them. That way we know what is what. And then this will have to be implemented in our base class. So we need to go all the way up the chain real quick. So this will be an iTile object. And we'll quickly go ahead and just implement our methods. So we'll just really quickly make a constructor in here. We're kind of breaking the norm a little bit on how we, or not norm, the format we plan to use. So we're going to have a thing here. So we have string ID, string mod, and we're going to return node as our type. So we don't have to worry about that. So this will have a protected final string ID, protected final string mod. This will be this.id equals ID, this.mod equals mod. And we'll have to go through and we're going to have to apply this to quite a few things and do our stuff. But this will be a node, so that's what our content type is. Then we just return mod, and then we return ID, and we'll have to go through and we'll have to fix some things here. But this will give us a lot more potential, theoretically. So when we go to do this, and this is the reason why I wanted to do this, is that we have to have a mod instanced in order to call a GUI ID. But for the rest of it, we don't really need to do anything. So this will be, shoot, I'm trying to think of it's I think it's loader dot. Oh, there we go. That's the loader I want. Instance dot get mod. It's got to be a get mod here. Mod property. We'll have to go to this real quick. I want to see if there's a way to get the mod by name. It probably isn't. I can fix this though. There's a way I can do this. So let's go back to here, and I want to do .is mod loaded. So we're gonna go to this real quick, and we're gonna see how this does it. So instance.named mods, and this is a private variable, so we can't actually do that. So we need to replicate this part. There is a way to do this, and we just have to figure out where this is used. Oh, you stupid machine. Okay. So we can get the mod index list right here. This is actually where we're going to do it. And that actually gives our name back, so that actually will work perfectly. So get mod index dot get, and then we want to get the mod ID. And that should work for us, because then we all have to do is do this, xi, yi, zi. And we need an ID though. So our ID is our second variable. and this would be get default GUID for player. There we go. And we'd return true here, and we would return false here because we don't really care. And there'll be stuff we'll do with this. This is how we're going to fix the thing where we were having to manually select what GUI we're opening when we have to return from things. I do need to implement a lot of more stuff here. Why is this? What does this one actually implemented? Oh, create constructor matching super. Okay, that works. And we just have to go to each one of these and just create constructor matching super. So this would be controller.local, and then this would be icbm.domain. And we're going to pretty much just have to redo this on several tiles. So I'm actually going to just go ahead and close others, or close everything. I'm going to hit build, make project, and we're just going to go through one error at a time, fixing everything. So create constructor matching super, tile test, and this would be what is the test tile thing? So this is just do that real quick. We don't actually need this information. The test tiles don't have GUIs. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean we're going to have to, yeah. Didn't really think this through fully. So this would be tile.test.inventory, and then we'll just replace this one all. Because after all, the test tiles are not actually used anywhere. And here's the sluggish, boring part of mod development. Change one thing, fix everything. For those who wonder where I'm getting these error lists from, the error list is on my other monitor. If I drag it over here, you see there's a huge list. It's defaulted over there because usually when I'm working, I'm just dragging tiles. I mean, dragging errors around and whatever. Words are complicated. Sadly, this is the reason why most people think English is not my first language, is because I have actually some pretty good difficulty speaking. And it has nothing to do with my English skills, just I have trouble speaking, period. Okay. Okay, here's where we're going to go to this class right here, and we're going to implement iTile here. And fortunately, what this means, I got to go here, I got to copy this stuff. And the shitty part about this is there is no system for this. So this is going to actually, I'm just going to return null here, and people are just going to have to override this part. So this, luckily we can just return tile here. So this would be, yeah, return tile. This part's mainly just going to be used by the JSON system in the future. But I need to obsolete this thing. So the thing is, the reason why I'm not caring too much about the tile class is it's obsolete and it's going to be replaced and disappeared. Oh, shoot. Return name. Okay. So we don't have to really do anything with this, and this should work. And why is it erroring out? There it goes. Okay, so build, make project. I'm going to really quickly rebuild the error list because most of the tiles that were in this list were there because, well, there was a lot of missing stuff. Okay, signal disruptor is an IGY tile. I forgot the system is actually Yeah, this is going to be complicated. I say complicated in the more of the ideal that there's just a lot of stuff that has to be edited and changed and moved around. And also the fact is bloody hot in here. And apologies if you can hear my fan in the background. The irony of it being actually hot in here is that it's actually really, really cold outside, and it didn't get bad until I turned the heat on, and my heater is one of those heaters that it's either really, really warm or it's cold. Oh well. This should fix a lot of errors. I forgot how many GUIs or how many IAMs actually have the GUI system on it. I need to refactor, rename it, but I don't want to be sitting here going through and re-pushing like 15 mods that all had the interface in it, because almost everything uses that interface. Okay, missile container needs to have a constructor. And this will error out the silos. I think the silos are literally the only thing left that we have to actually do now. I'd like to just JSON init all this stuff. Like I could probably write the code generator to do a lot of this for us, but I'm just not going to do that. It's easier just to go through and handle all this properly. Okay, here we go. So this would be silo.small. Remember, the IDs really don't matter. They're just there just to make sure that we have some unique get method on here. Actually, these kind of do matter a little bit. We'll revisit it later if it becomes a problem. Okay, so this will be silo.standard. This will technically tie into the JSON system. When you go to do your overrides, you'll do it that way. There'll be some kind of lookup table that'll be like, oh, here's the what you're trying to look for, and you're trying to override data in this object. Why is this class state still errored? Oh, whatever. IntelliJ's being stupid. I've been giving IntelliJ a lot of shit lately, but it's been pretty bad. But in theory, this will let us really rework the GUIs and make them much easier, because eventually we're going to do a JSON GUI system, and that JSON GUI system is going to need stuff like this to function. It's going to need to know what tile you're opening, what you're doing with it, how we trying to open it, what IDs we're going to use, what mod opens that GUI, because all the GUIs are attached to mods right now. There is no global mods or global GUI system. I wish there was. It'd be so much easier. Yeah, we're good. We're error-free now. Now we need to go back to working on the system. So when we were working on this last time, we recreated the GUI handling to utilize that same exact GUI from the display on the local controller. So now we need to go back in there and we need to make sure that the controller system is utilizing the new system we just created in order to open up GUIs. So we're going to need to go into the launcher controller, and it's the silo connection data that actually does the open GUI. So we're right here is how we're handling this. Why is this way? I'm confused slightly. Okay, this only does the launcher. Okay, that stores the return data. There's probably like a better way to handle this, in theory. We'll have to come up with a return system later. So what actually is what's opening a GUI? So we need some kind of system. So it's probably the abstract launcher that's opening the GUI. Maybe. Return to previous GUI since packet. It means we're handling up here in the packet handler. Okay, here's the spot because we have to define each one. So what we want to do is we want to go, okay, if it's an instance of iTile GUI, we don't want to be doing this system here. Instead, we want to call OpenGUI on the tile. So I'm going to go tile.OpenGUI player, then we want to get the current GUI, which in this case is actually going to be a container. So we're going to get player dot open container, and then we need the return data. So it would be return GUI data, and then it would actually be get really quick. So that way we know what we're doing. And that should work. Because what we can do on our local controller and our silo interface is that we can just handle the opening of the GUI that way. So we want to copy this whole piece of junk here. And we'll go to each one of these and we want to implement. What's on CurseVerge right now? Yeah, just bug reports. Yeah, it's somebody having issues with things and they're just kind of going back and forth. I sigh when I say that is because I think that issue's already been taken care of, but yet I think the person is still having difficulties. And I don't really want to go mess with it right now. I'll probably do it later because I'm probably going to get one of those, you don't have a choice. You're going to have to do it. Anyways, in this case, we don't need any special handling. We just literally need to go open GUI. And we need to pass back the ID. Since we only have one GUI, it's pretty good. So we just got to remove all this junk because we don't need to cast everything. And on the other thing, it'll be the same way. But this is going to cut down on a bit of confusion. Because right here, it'd just be like GUI packet. So it'd be, I think it's main GUI? Yeah, main GUID. I actually moved that to a variable a while back. And this will be icbm.instance. And then we're good, and we just got to return true saying we opened the GUI. And then this will be the same exact thing we're going to do for the other thing, which is going to be the silo interface. So we need to go find where its GUI stuff is, which is right there. And this is going to be packet ID 0. And then we can get rid of that. And that cuts down on a bit of our problem, because then there you go, clean code. That means anytime we add and utilize this interface on any other tile, all we got to do is make sure that they implement iGUI tile, and we can call open on it, and we're done. So now we just need to test to make sure that this is reliable and we don't have any crashes. Then I'm going to go ahead and upload the API. And then, did we actually change anything in the GUI tile? And then, yeah, last thing. Added way to open to ask tile to open GUI. And then what we'll do is we'll deprecate the default GUI call, which is what we've been using for a few different things. And then now we can just ask things to open up their own GUIs instead. And we just got to make sure we add more data. So the data will end up containing like the circumstances for being opened. Actually, we'll probably add a field for circumstances being open. It'll be like on player right click or return or something. It'll be an enum most likely. That way we know what's going on. So it'd be like remote open, a few different other things. That way we can control what's going on with the GUIs a lot better. This will prevent things from happening. So we'll have the on-activated call, and its return type will be default right-click action, and we can block that on our local controller, which wants to open its GUI on its own, which should work out pretty well. We'll toy with it more and more. And this is all going back to the JSON system, as the JSON system will start to handle some of this on its own, because then we're going to want to open a JSON-driven GUI, which will be a pre-built catch GUI system. And what it'll do is it'll generate a GUI object and it'll clone the object most likely, and that object will have a whole bunch of GUI components in it, and those components will interact with each other, and they'll be all loaded and created via JSON. So that way we don't have to manually define things. We have nothing linked here because I think last time we were doing this we unlinked everything. Yeah, so we still get everything and we still get the return, so it works perfectly fine. Next thing we need to do is lock these two out if we don't have the ability to encode. That's going to have to be handled via JSON system. So when we call open GUI, so when we call this thing, we're not passing any variables in. We are passing in the opening tile, so we could modify how we're doing this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go, okay, if opening tile is instance of, no, because we still have the connector here. Speaking of which, I just got poked on Discord. Why isn't Discord messaging me? Probably have tons of messages in here. Like people have been talking into general here. Okay, do I get any private messages? Oh, apparently I do. Okay, hopefully my client doesn't get me pissed off at me for messaging him because it's like 7 a.m. where he's at right now, so he's probably asleep. So we need to implement some kind of way to control this ID. So we want to send an ID if we have our encoding slots enabled or disabled. We could ignore it. So how does encode work? There is a methodology behind the encoding system. So the encoding system, there doesn't seem to be any handling in here for it. It's going to be handled more than likely in this GUI. So we got action performed. One of these is the encode button. We do have set target. Okay, set target, encode item, so launcher.encode item. So that sends a packet 23 to the server. Packet 23 has a whole mess of a behavior here. So we have a thing here. So we make sure that we're connected to a command connector and that our return tile is a silo interface. So let's look at silo interface first and we'll see what interfaces it has applied to it. We don't have anything uniquely implemented there. But right now we can just kind of forcibly check for it. What actually does the encoding though? The item does the encoding, but it needs the attached network's frequency, and it needs the connector's group name. So the connector is the more important part. So the connector would be value 1, which is this part. This, I believe, is interface driven. So that's ILO-SIO connection point. So we actually could still get that from there because we do have a group name and everything. So it's the command connector is what we need. So we're gonna have to check this part here because this is what we need. So we're gonna go, okay, if our value 0, which is opening tile, so I'm gonna go, if opening tile is an instance of, then we want to do GUI 1, if not GUI 2. And then what we do is we just have to go up to wherever our GUIs are. Oh, our GUIs are on the silo. Organization there is not. A lot of work needs to still be done to make these functional. Okay, I clearly passed these at some point. Okay, here we go. So we just need to implement something here. So we're going to go, okay, boolean enable encoding. And we just got to store that variable. So private boolean, and we'll just copy the name so we don't have to retype it. And we'll go this enable encoding equals enable encoding. And we'll implement this, and there should be we'll have to put it into the container as well. So we'll go private. So we'll have to do boolean enable encoding. And then this will be this dot enable encoding. We actually probably don't need to store it because what we're going to do is we just want to remove this slot. So we're going to go, okay, if enable encoding, then the slot exists. If not, bye-bye. So it's just, we'll just go straight out and not even put it into the screen. It just won't be there. And then what we need to do is do true on the defaults. And then we go else if value equals 2, it'll be false. Cool thing about this GUI system, the way I designed it, we can have an infinite number of GUI, well actually integer max pretty much on GUIs, but you get the point. There's a lot of stuff we can do with it. Oh, why are these two inverted? That is weird. This is player this is this dot player. Something happened there. Probably I was half asleep on coding. Be amazed how often that is a problem. So we just right here, we just want to go, okay, if enable encoding, and then just ignore. And then if it looks too bad of an issue, what we may do is just disable both of them, do an empty slot of some kind. And we can't do hot swaps, so we're going to have to reset this. So that should work. So it'll get rid of those section. We do need to add the ability to utilize a laser detonation item, so an item that has coordinates in it inside the GUI. So we may end up putting that slot back in there. We may just change it from an encoding button to a transfer button. Or we're just going to change the logic. We may go, okay, if enable encoding, and then we just simply say, okay, you can't actually encode things like laser detonators inside of the local controller. So what the local controller is pretty much a glorified laptop, and the only thing it can do is just kind of coordinate things. Theoretically, I may actually make it work with the command control system, and it may just act as a connector, or limited connector that can be connected to the command system. I'll explore that thought process here later, because right now I'm not too interested in adding a whole bunch of new features. The only reason I'm going through this is it's been on the list to update the GUIs for the local controller for a while, because the local controller was the first thing we made to actually do the launching of the silos. And it was designed to be a replacement for the old interface from the original classic version, the interface you put right in front of the silo, and you can fire all the stuff off. It's meant to be that. Just it doesn't look as fancy. It's meant to look like a military hard-cased laptop, which are big and bulky like that. Although the model didn't come out that way. And all the replacement models I've been given are not anywhere close. The closest I got was one from Dragon Lord, which looked almost what I wanted. What I actually want is something that looks like an old XP computer from 95. The big brick things that laid horizontal. Most computers right now are vertical, so they're actually taller than they are wide. The older computers used to be wider than they were tall. And that's what you'll find with a lot of older military computers from the Cold War era. They look like that. And then they'll have like just a normal CT monitor in them or something, which is what we got here. There we go, our button's gone. We still got the save button, but just an empty space, and that works for me. And then we need to go check to see if our display is working, and I gotta figure out what's wrong with the rotation on this. It can't find that silo. I need to come up with an update system, because the reason I can't find that is I think it was one of the silos that were over here. And it needs to have some kind of update logic that goes, okay, if we know that location is not null, if we can access it, it needs to disappear. But it's working, I guess. We need to link something. So this is, you know what, we'll go ahead and break this, because then that'll get rid of that empty cache on there. Okay, you're already linked. Yeah, there's a lot of things I need to fix. There we go. Apparently I need to set a refresh on that. So open this, yeah, we got our encode button, and we should be able to like just toss stuff in there and it'll encode. I do need, Actually, we can't encode because we don't have a network. There's no frequency network attached to this. Or actually, it needs to be attached to that. But that's good so far. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this video, and I'll start another one rather than just continuing and making another 2-hour video.